very, very dreadfully nervous I had never known. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed or dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object there was none, passion there was none. I loved the old man, he had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was desire, yes, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now, this is the point. You fancy me mad at nothing, but you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. Upon the 8th night I went and opened his chamber door. I had my head in and was about to open the lantern, when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in bed, crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still and said nothing. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it until at length a simple dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot out from the crevice and fell full upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. Now, I say there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It grew quicker and quicker and louder every instant. It grew louder, I say louder every moment. I thought the heart must burst. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leapt into the room. He shrieked once only, but for many minutes the heart beat out with a muffled sound. At length, it ceased. The old man was dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. His eye would trouble me no more. If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. I took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. When I made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock, and there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men, officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of the foul play had been aroused. I smiled, for what had I to fear? The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man I mentioned was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I led them to his chamber. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached and I fancied a ringing in my ears, but still they sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definiteness until at length I found that the noise was not within my ears. I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice. If the sound increased, what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, much like a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officers heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observations of the men, but the noise steadily increased. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated it upon the boards, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, and still men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God, no! suspected. They knew they were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think. But anything was better than this agony. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again,